Today, I'm gonna do something I've never done before. I'm gonna do a drum recording experiment. We're gonna record an entire drum kit with ribbon microphones only. Yes, we're even gonna close mic the snare and the toms with ribbon microphones. We are recording a dark and doomy black metal song that deserves a fat and smoky sound. So this might be just the right thing to do. And later on, you can even download the multitracks of this session. We're gonna put microphones worth more than $30,000 on this drum kit. So this is gonna be luxury black metal. Follow me, this is gonna be a great adventure. Here we go. Why are we doing this? Well, because it's fun and because we can. Because we have come to TOOLHOUSE Studios, one of the finest places in Germany for recording drums. And they have one of the largest collections of AEA ribbon microphones. Let me introduce you to the drummer. This is Janosch, and he's gonna hit things hard. How you doing?
Great.
So you might know him from being the drummer in the post-rock band, Long Distance Calling, amazing band. If you don't know them, check out the link below. But today he's gonna show us his dark and evil side, you know? A few words about the drum kit and the cymbals we are using. It's a pretty funky combination of a lot of things. So let's start with the kick drum and the first tom. Those are both Tama Superstar shells, maple shells. Then we got a Mapex tom. The snare is from my collection, one of my favorites, Pearl free-floating 6.5-inch brass snare from the 90s, a real classic, sounds fantastic. We went for two rather small and rather bright and fast-sounding crashes. Those are Peiste full crashes, 16 and 18, which we expect to be a good combination with the rather dark-sounding ribbon overheads. And then we got 3 or 4 minor cymbals, an 18-inch Bizanz China, hi-hat, a really nice sounding Bizanz 22-inch heavy ride, and a Meinl Classics custom or something. Splash! Welcome to the control room. What a nice place, right? Really nice, high-end, old-school recording studio. Big SSL 4000, lots of outboard gear. Let me show you what we're gonna use, the preamps we're gonna use. Because those ribbon mics from AEA already sound quite colored, and because we want to show you the pure sound of those microphones, we decided to use some really clean and transparent sounding mic pre's. So on the first 8 channels, which is the main overheads, 2 kick mics, 2 snare mics, and 2 tom mics, we're using those very transparent sounding GML, George Massenburg Labs mic pre's. Then the 2 stereo setups of room mics are going through those staking mic pre's. And finally, the additional spot mics on hi-hat and China, plus a second pair of overheads are going through those equally clean sounding Hardy M1 mic pre's. We're just using the SSL for monitoring and for mixing. I might use the EQ because, as we all know, ribbon mics sound really dark, but take EQ really well to maybe pre-shape the signals a little bit, make them sound a little more rock and roll and metal and a little more mix ready. But we're not recording that. That's just on the monitoring chain. So the files that you can download later, the multitracks, are just the pure and clean signal from the mics. Let's talk about the microphones. I have a double setup for the overheads, so we can choose later what we prefer. Those 2 out here, those are AEA Nuvo N8 active ribbons. And that's their more modern sounding, a little brighter sounding ribbon. That's why I chose it, because I want to have some, I want to pick up the cymbals and want some brightness. I've placed them over the main crashes, equal distance from the snare. So hopefully the snare is going to be in the middle, kick's going to be in the middle, and they're going to give us a good representation of the entire drum kit in favor of the main crashes. The good thing is that the ride cymbal is right underneath the crash, and that's hopefully why we don't have to use another spot mic on the ride. Then we have another mic here in the middle, which is a stereo mic, and that is their famous R88 passive ribbon microphone. It's a fantastic room mic, and people say it really just sounds like being in a room, that microphone. Which means we have the stereo AB setup, and we have another stereo mic in the middle, and we can choose between the two. Let's switch between the R88 and the N8. So you see, this is a little fuller, sounds more like a drum kit. Kick and snare are a lot thicker. And the modern ribbon has a little more high, sounds a little faster. And for now, I want to start with the modern ribbons, the N8. I prefer having the cymbals a little brighter. And I think I will even have to push the EQ a little bit, because the cool thing about ribbons is they sound fat and meaty, but you can really EQ them a lot, like push the EQ, push the highs a lot without making them sound harsh. Have a listen. Here's what happens when I push the SSL EQ, the shelving band at 16 kilohertz or whatever it is, full, 15 dB. I mean, that's a lot, so now it sounds a lot more like the high frequencies or the frequency response of a condenser mic, but there's no real harshness. So let's go for something more realistic, something in between. Gonna bypass the EQ one more time. Still sounds fat and meaty, but it gives the snare and the toms a little more snap and makes the cymbals a little brighter. Great. We've got two microphones on the snare drum, and the main mic, the snare top mic, is overkill. It's a $7,000 microphone on a snare, the most expensive mic I've ever used on a snare drum. It is a passive ribbon. What's special about it is that it is a super cardioid ribbon microphone. As we all know, all ribbons out there, pretty much all ribbons out there, are figure of 8. This one is super cardioid and supposed to sound cool on snare. Again, 7K, total overkill, but I'm really looking forward to checking it out. Nice ring, and it doesn't really sound like a ribbon, does it? I expected this to be way darker, to be honest. No EQ, really snappy and nice. Awesome. Then we got another snare bottom mic, which is again from the more modern Nouveau series, like the main overheads. And this one is an active ribbon called N22. And that's also kind of cool, don't you think? Because it sounds way darker than any other mic I would typically use, but it doesn't have that plastic sounding top end, you know? Okay, so let's blend this with the main snare mic. You can even have this really loud, it still sounds kind of cool, I'm surprised. And now I have to admit that we're cheating a little bit, because you simply can't put any of the ribbons inside the kick drum without destroying it. So we are forced to use a dynamic mic inside the kick drum, and we are using a Telefunken microphone inside the kick drum. I don't even know what it's called. It's the first time I'm using it, but it seems to sound pretty fucking badass. People call this one the Audix D6 killer. I haven't made a straight comparison, but it kind of sounds very modern and cool. I can hear something in the mid-range, around 500 Hertz or something that sounds a little honky, so I think I'm going to EQ that out. Remember, all the EQing that I do is only on the monitoring chain, so it's not on the way in. We're recording just the clean signals. But let's EQ the kick a little bit and let's make it sound a little more metal. And this is what I want to get rid of. Let's add a touch of low end. And a little click. Bypass the EQ. Let's add the kick to our mix. If you're not familiar with AEA, the company was founded by Wes Dooley, and what he did was he bought all the original machines from RCA and rebuilt, I guess, the most classic American microphone, which is this one. Now it's called the AEA A440. And you can see we've even angled this microphone to protect it a little bit because there's a lot of air coming out of the kick drum. We've not put it right in front of the hole. Now we got to see if it's in phase with the main kick mic. It is, but let me show you. I'll flip the polarity. Thinner. And that's beefy, isn't it? And one thing you can do to the outer kick mic is that you can just cut the highs. Let me show you, like this. So this is the outer kick mic soloed. Cut the highs, get rid of them, you don't need them. Pretty badass. Let's check it out in the context. And this is our first stereo room microphone. This is the AEA R88, and you can get it both in a passive and in an active version. And it is known to be one of the greatest and most natural sounding room mics out there. Fat and beefy as well, just what you want from room mics, and it really sounds like standing in front of the drum kit. Kick and snare in the middle. I can hear the hi-hat slightly on the right. You know, just the right, just the stereo panorama is just how I want it. Very natural. Let's add the room mics to our mix. There's not like a huge sound or something. You know, it's a fairly like balanced and not too live sounding room, but it just opens up everything a little bit and makes it sound a little more like an instrument instead of a bunch of single microphones. And now on with the fun stuff, because we got another stereo room microphone, but it's not even in this room. Follow me. So we're in the hallway. At some point they found out that if you put a microphone upstairs and leave the door open to the live room, you get an insane, really, really insane and kind of processed sounding drum room sound. Follow me. Up here we got another R88. This time it's the active version. This is a big part of the drum sound of this studio. It sounds super impressive and really interesting. Let's check it out. Holy fucking crap. So let's add them to our mix. It's kind of cool that they have this pre-delay. So it really sounds like adding a reverb or something, like a vibey sounding, very realistic sounding reverb. Even if you don't have them too loud, once you bypass the room mics, it kind of gets boring. Listen. On both toms, we got active ribbons, KU5A. And again, we're talking about super cardioid microphones, which is really important here because we don't want to get all the bleed from the cymbals, which we would get by using figure-of-8 microphones. So, super cardioid again, KU5A, active ribbons. Let's see how they sound. Kind of beefy and fat, but I'm not the biggest fan of that. It might be a little too dark and too dull for a metal mix, so let's EQ this a little bit. Let's bypass the EQ. So I've reduced some of the lower mids and added some 3K bite. So let's hope that we don't get too much bleed from the cymbals because we've added quite a bit of higher frequencies here. Much better. So now it has the highs that metal toms need. Listen to that room. Tom soloed. So far, I'm pretty damn impressed. Everything sounds kind of cool. I think this is a pretty cool rough mix, rough drum sound to get started with the recording. What we're gonna do now is record a black metal song, a dark and doomy black metal song. Let's do that now. Let's have some fun. I hope you enjoyed our little drum miking experiment. And yes, you can download the multitracks of that song, so you can check out every microphone yourself. But that's not all. I also did a mix of the drums for you inside Cubase, only using a handful of plugins, and I filmed the whole thing, so I will walk you through that mix. I put everything into a free course inside my academy, Kohle Audio Kult. So all you got to do is click the link below. You got to register for the academy, but the course is completely free and there's no hidden costs or anything. Just click that link, follow the instructions, and you can watch the entire recording session. It's an extended version and the second chapter with the mix rundown, see me mixing those drum tracks, and you can download all the tracks yourself and my rough mix. Fantastic. And I gotta say, I kind of expected this to sound cool, but I'm still surprised by how good those tracks actually sound. I kind of expected them to ask for a little more EQing, a little more processing, but those files were a lot more mix ready than expected. I mean, the overheads sound great, both overheads. On my rough mix, I even ended up using the stereo mic in the middle, which I did not expect, and I think I used no EQ, just a little EQ on the drum master bus. The snare mic sounds fantastic. That was the biggest surprise to me. Okay, let's be honest. I'm not going to spend $7K on a snare mic, but it sounds badass. The bottom snare mic actually sounds better than any other mic I've used before because it just sounds less plastic than any dynamic or condenser. That was a real surprise. And everything else was kind of cool. I wasn't completely happy with the toms, I gotta say that, so I would use something else there. But it also has to do with me not tuning the toms perfectly. I gotta be honest here. The room mics, of course, sound badass, and I really want one of those R88s, those stereo AEA microphones. Anyway, click the link below, download the files yourself, just have a listen. Those are the raw tracks with no processing at all, so you can hear like the real deal. To me, it's a surprise because all those tracks sound natural and meaty, still mix ready enough and not weird and dark or anything. And that outer kick drum mic is maybe the biggest and meatiest sounding outer kick mic I've ever used. Fantastic. Not exactly affordable either, but I gotta say those AEA mics sound gorgeous. They have a fantastic sound, a fantastic three-dimensional quality to them. Really, really good stuff. Thanks to AEA microphones and to the TOOLHOUSE Studio for letting me in and letting me do this. It was a lot of fun. So now in the meantime, you leave a comment below. Tell me how you like this experiment and if you want to see me doing more stuff like this in the future, and you download the tracks. You should also check out the other courses in the Academy because we got a bunch of courses about recording, mixing, mastering, all kinds of metal, and I believe you can learn a lot. Okay, so that's all for today. Thanks for watching. It was a lot of fun. I want to do more like this. This is cool stuff. Okay, thanks again for watching. Subscribe to this channel. I see you in hell, motherfuckers. Bye-bye.